the staff in that business was calling me one day and say, Benjamin, this is your business. This is not my business. You have to show up. You have to come down here. You have to come here and help. And I was not hesitating and telling him that if this business require me to be there to be successful, then I'm going to let it close down.
Mm-hmm.
That means that is not a business to me. That is a job to me. And this job will not provide more than what I could create out there. Hey everybody, thank you for coming back to Things Creative Podcast. This is your host, Benjamin Huang. If you have been coming to our podcast and listening to what we have been talking about, you would know that every time I bring someone on the studios, they are the people who are crushing it in a certain area. So if you are not one of these people who want to achieve something amazing, right now is the time for you to just go to the next podcast and do not stay. But if you're one of these people who are looking to achieve something great and really learn from people who have done a great thing, you're at the right podcast. Today, I'm bringing in my dear friends, Bobby. Bobby, he has closed one deals after the others. And people in our community, you have to know Bobby. And if you, he's pretty famous, by now. If you don't know him, you got to know him. Bobby, thank you so much for being in a studio with us. I appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking through some of the latest and greatest and some of the deals we're doing, and then really what we're planning on doing the rest of the year.
Awesome.
To kind of grow our business. Yeah.
Cool. Bobby, before we get started, let's spend a quick minutes to talk about what should people know about you and why are you doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So, I am focused on buying and holding RV parks, mobile home parks. That's my primary focus. And so I had just got into real estate probably like 4 years ago now. And I first entered it, even though it's not real estate, we built out a short-term rental management company, me and my business partner. And that was 4 years ago. And so we kind of entered that space and we're like, hey, let's create some income, we'll bootstrap. We didn't have to put any money into it. And we're like, let's manage other people's properties. We had one in the portfolio, but we grew that business and we actually just sold that business in December 2025, just this past year, on seller finance, which is great. So we built up that business and we found somebody that wanted to take it on. It was all in the Disney market, it's a management company. And so, but during that time, I joined this group, the community, a creative community, and really understood and learning how to, both on the acquiring and as well as assigning properties, right? Like, how do you create these deals? How do you create these structures, creative terms? How do you get the capital for it? Building up the network. And so like over time, my mindset has shifted from like, oh, let's buy some short-term rentals to then like, let's buy more commercial assets. And we'll go after boutique hotels or motels too. But the main focus is RV parks, mobile home parks. And then I have a wholesale business that I'm partnered with Ingrid Hernandez in Arizona, and we have a team there as well where we're working with homestead buyers and wholesaling creative deals.
This is awesome, guys. If you're listening in, you would notice that these high achievers have one common thing: they have clear focus. And when Bobby just opened his mouth, he talked about, I am focusing on XYZ. If you're one of these people who are still confusing what you should be working on, what you should be focusing on, definitely learn more. But up to a certain point, break it down to the point that you have extreme clarity. And Bobby, since we talked last time, you have been telling me that you underwrote a lot of RV parks, mobile home parks. what do you specifically like about this asset and comparing with other asset? Like why did you make this to be your focus?
Um, so there's a big opportunity with these parks, and to me, one, I want to get into the commercial space. To me, it's if you're going to put a lot of effort into something, right? Because if you get single family homes, if you get short term rental in a single family home, or even small multifamily, there's a considerable amount of work that you're going to have to do until you build up a team. But you're going to have to put that work in, and the returns there aren't as great as if I'm going to put in that amount of work, let's put it into a larger asset in which we're going to reap the benefits of it. Plus, we can force appreciation into the business, right? And into the asset versus single family, which you're dependent on the market. And so to me, that was super interesting. I I love the nuances or the differences across all those assets because every single RV park, like not one of them are the same on how you would want to underwrite it. There is a for the campgrounds and some of the RV resorts when we're looking, there's that component of hospitality, which is what, we've built up over time as well. So that's interesting, but we don't just go after those parks. So to me, I think there's like a wide range. Ultimately, we are, I want to create wealth for my family. I want to own assets, and I want to do it with a team, and I want to be able to have that opportunity to not only cash flow, but then force the appreciation, and allowing us to do so. And there's just such a huge opportunity, and you're seeing it too in your world, right? So many of boomers and exiting the workforce, and a lot of these folks, they'll shut down their door. Either they're going to find someone to buy it, or they're going to just shut down the doors because they want to retire. And so, like, such a good opportunity. RV parks, mobile home parks, all these mom and pop owners, laundromats, they want to exit, and there's an opportunity for us to get in there. So, yeah,
This is awesome. Awesome. So when you were looking at business owner who are looking to retire, um, what were the common, say, conversation starter, right? Because when you reach out to a current business owner, how does that conversation typically start?
so it's actually really easy to talk with the direct to sellers, right? And a lot of the deals too, it's a good mix of broker conversations and with the sellers, right? So when it's with the seller, um, it is really asking the questions, understanding what they've done so far, right? Like what they've built up so far, really understanding um, how closely tied, and like the blood, sweat, and tears, all making sure that they are able to express what they put into it, and we're able to listen and understand. Okay, cool, like that. You can see the pride and the work sometimes, right? Depending that's what I'm trying to get to in steering that conversation is like, all right, how long have they run this park, or how long have they owned this park, and what's their plans afterwards, right? Like, when you sell, what are you going to do? Are you going to travel? Are you a lot of the times too, it's like, oh, I want to take my money and roll it into a bigger park or something. Like, that tells me a lot
Yeah.
versus what somebody that's like, I'm done. I
Okay.
want to retire. I have other focus. And it really helps you understand, at the end of the day, everything that we structure in terms has to work for the seller, especially when it's a creative deal. It's like seller finance. They're our bank. And so I want to work backwards from what they need, and
Yeah.
we'll work backwards from there and
Yeah.
see what we can come up with. So it's really just asking questions and understanding what they're looking
Absolutely.
for.
And this is the exact thing that most people who are not in the creative world would not understand, right? They typically look at asset in a way that, okay, let me just throw a number out there. And their logic is typically very simple and say, well, ultimately everybody has a price, right? In the creative world, we focus on people's problem. We focus on the seller's problem and what they're trying to accomplish, and really reverse engineer using creative finance or our creativities to solve problems. This is great. And Bobby, the other thing that we kind of talked about before this podcast was you are actively looking at AI integrating to the business. As a fellow business owner, we are also doing a similar thing. Um, how did you tackle AI, and how do you envision AI eventually play in your business role?
Um, yeah, so what's cool. So I have my W-2 as well, right? And so I work at a software company. And so my background is in data and analytics, and so I work at a software company. I understand like SaaS business and SaaS software, but also data and analytics. And I have data scientists on my team, machine learning engineers. There's uh, such a huge advantage or benefit to being able to like work with some of these folks that are just, they understand, like they have this engineering background and understanding like, okay, how do you break these things down so you're actually using AI within your business? Because there's a lot of people that are saying that they're using AI in their business, right? But I think it really comes down to like, how do you structure everything, right? So I say all that like, how do you create an architecture or a structure to where you really can build out the things that you need to, and not have like AI hallucinate or have it do certain more complex tasks for longer periods of time. And so like when I'm looking at it, I say all that because when I'm looking at it, what I have been building is really centered around, okay, how can we, what problems are we trying to solve, or like what do we need to do on the day to day, and then we're going to work backwards and build something even simple, right? Like email inbox, like as these other deals come in, how do you categorize and label them, and then how do you route them, and then
Workflow.
building out an underwriter for RV parks,
Yeah.
specifically focused, very hyper focused on it, so that we can get more deals underwritten in a quicker amount of time, and we can get back to people to give them feedback. And it's like finding out where these little pockets are, and then understanding how to build out these agents to where you're not reliant on one LLM over another, or like, OpenAI or ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is. Like I've been doing a lot of research to just make sure that, because everything's changing every day, like not one person's an expert in this space. You could be very good at it, but because everything's changing all the time, literally like they're writing white paper, like they're writing new articles every day about some new thing that they found.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so then how do we, in a world like that, how do you create something that's flexible for your
Yeah.
business? And so that's what I've been focused on, is trying to like implement it in little ways. Like I said, the email underwriting, um, creating decks or landing pages, things like that. And so far, so good. And now it's starting to create some of those automations um, myself without using like an open claw or something like that. We're actually building out those agents to run on a daily basis on little things, little tasks.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great way to look at AIs. So how my current business are tackling AI are, we focus on what activities that we are spending the most of our time, right? Like what are the thing that is taking a bunch of time, that has very low value, right? If we cannot eliminate them, then we would try to find AI to take over. Um, and there were also some activity that are like, okay, if you were to have the people do it, you would have probably 5 to 10 people to tackle that. And if you were to have AI take care of it, it basically just one agent. Um, One thing that we recently have done to the existing businesses are our typical financials reporting, like on the monthly basis, quarterly basis. It basically all went to like bookkeepers, and the bookkeeper send it to, like whatever QuickBooks or whatever, and put together a report. And that report eventually become 1 month, will become available 1 month after the quarter. which basically is not allowing you to adjust accordingly, knowing the problem, on time and all that. We built a AI in dashboard that basically allow us to see how it goes on the day-to-day basis. Meaning every single store that we are currently running, we see exactly how they're doing in terms of revenue, like new orders, new customers, wash and fold, delivery. And with all that numbers going, it does not just provide the transparency to our capital partners, but also it creates a efficiency of running businesses. So previously we were like, okay, let's try to hop on a call to like internally with our team to talk about what we should do differently in the next quarter so we can improve the business. Right now we're talking about not just weekly, we're talking about even daily. Like, oh, we see, for example, Boston marathons is popping up. Like, there's a lot of people, talking about it and whatnot. What are the things that we should do to actually drive the trend instead of being reactive? We are become more proactive. So just because of that data reporting or data, sharing, it's now upgraded our efficiency and upgraded our capability of running the business better. Right.
Love that. I love that. Such a good example. That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah. And so we actually see that to be such a great tool that I think most of the business owners should be using. And we are now basically turning into a white label system to allow people to say, hey, can I plug and play into our existing business? So if you are one of these people who are listening and you're actively running a business and you would hope and wish that you have a awesome monitor that just show you how your individual businesses are performing on a daily basis, especially if you're running a business that has been running on a high transaction, meaning if you're looking at hundreds of transactions every day instead of one transactions a day, then you will be highly benefited by this AI dashboard, which we are going to make it available to you. So if you're listening in, reach out to me. The other thing that we have been getting tremendous benefit from was we have, we are actively acquiring larger asset like you, right? We need to raise a much bigger amount of money, and therefore we need to, outreach a bunch more people. Usually I only need to handle about 300 people, 400 people. But in the recent acquisition, we now are getting to the point that we have close to 1,000 people in our ecosystem. Meaning these people who attend in our Zoom here and there and interacting with us. Now think about this. How many people can I really talk to across the whole weeks? It's like you only have like 24 hours a day, right? So I actually did the math. Like if you were aiming to talk to 10 investors a day, you can probably talk to 50 people a week, and then you will be completely exhausted. Meaning toward the end of the day, you just have no mental power. You're just dead, right? So what we have been able to do was we use AI agent, and a lot of people, if you're listening in our ecosystem, you will know her name is Ivy. Ivy has been catching up with all the Zoom that I'm doing, and then communicate with people who attended. And people who attended, they may be making some comments on the side chat. They may be saying that, hey, this is so interesting. Or they may be say, hey, I got a question about this. Ivy not just pick up those comments, but also pick up the timing for the Zoom to say, oh, when Benjamin is talking about this specific person asked about the questions or have some interest in that. They will pair it up together, and then after the Zoom, they will reach out to that person specifically toward that topic. Now, as a result, I just look at a report, 907 people in our ecosystem. We are having 603 people who are getting more than 17 touches, meaning there's back and forth communication about 17 times. Do the math and you would know that is not one human beings, are able to do.
Yeah. Yep.
That is so
Oh,
powerful. So
yeah.
yeah, so that's basically like how we are trying to be more efficient. And so like before this podcast, we talk about what are we using AI for our business, right? I have been debating and thinking about this whether we should use AI to deal with a problem that now just take us so much time, or we have AI do the money making activities,
Mm.
because it's really debatable, right? One will buy your time back. The other one basically just help you make money. So like after some thinking, my decision was okay. If we were to build AI agent, it have to do at least one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to be able to do, to be able to have something that's doing both, right? Because one is operational. So that's what I'm in the midst of building right now too, right? So because the park that we just closed on in California, and there's a lot in California you're staying on top of too, but like you know, HR, payroll, and then also your bookings and your the income and the expenses of the park itself, but then your staff, right? So your employees, your staff, centralizing all that and getting ready for the next park that we're supposed to close in a couple weeks. So right when we get back from San Antonio, that one has been pushed, and because we've been waiting for some paperwork to be signed from somebody that
yeah. You talked to me
sold the
about that.
property. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So, then we're gonna close that, and so it's like, okay, now let's bring that into this. So to exactly what you're saying is everything is gonna be run through one, so that ultimately, and that's how you get into that mentality of not of being so focused in the weeds of things. You're like able to take that step back and look at everything from a high level. And then what I love that you said too is that transparency now that you're bringing to your investors, the people that are partnered with you, or have brought capital to you, like being able to actually have that transparency and showing that is like, that's such a great, even another benefit to that is like, it's like a secondary but so important benefit to that. It's actually probably primary when you don't even, it's like parallel, I guess, with running their business. And then it's like, well, look at the trust that we're building by showing this.
I realize that it's always a pain when a capital partners or investor come to you and say, "Hey Benjamin, how did the laundromat wrong?" And that itself start with most people are coming and asking that question in a very friendly way. However, that to me a lot of time is telling me that, Benjamin, how come I need to ask you these questions? And that just get me to the point that I am not doing good enough of job to provide clarity to people. Despite we're running a quarterly meeting, despite we're sending monthly update on the financial and whatnot, we still put people in the positions of thinking about asking that question when they see me. Instead of coming and say, Benjamin, I see the recent number that's super excited, right? We would want that way more. So when I was thinking about that problem and I see my team were able to put it up, I'm just super grateful that we are now in a position that people truly look at the business in an operational way, just like us. Because that was my promise to my capital partners. If you are owning a business with me, you are not just a money partners. You are going to own the business, and we're going to grow it together. If people don't have clarity and transparency, how can they grow it with you?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just so great that we get to live in this world that things are just keep on, getting better and more efficient.
Yeah. Yep. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby, have you ever thought about what's the ultimate so-called OS, like operational system, should look like that would manage the say RV park, mobile home parks, or these type of asset. Were you thinking from a perspective of maybe not looking at a specific park, but having a master plan to say, okay, this is how RV park generally work, and these are the components we need to have, and figure out that, and then plug and play into each asset. Like, what's your thought process there?
Yeah, it was that. It's that the latter, right? So like we were thinking through because our goal is to get at least 4 parks this year. And so like the biggest thing that because I've fallen into this before when you're so focused on one thing, it to me it is and I always forget what this is called, but you basically fill your time with the amount of time that you give yourself to do something, right? Like if you give yourself 6 hours to do it, it's going to take 6 hours, right? Versus, I don't know if that's Parkinson's law or something, but basically it's like you think of, okay, we are not just buying one park. If you focus on buying one park, you are going to that's going to be your job. You're going to basically it's going to become a job because you are not focusing on elevating yourself to another level. And this is what I've run into in the past. And this is why to me, it's like we're thinking through, hey, if we have 4 parks this year, how do we onboard those? What's the components of those? What are we putting in place? If we're just so in love with one park and we're like, oh, let's get one park, we're going to make it another job that we're not going to be an owner of. And we got to think about like scaling. And so, to me, you force yourself to do that by saying, okay, next one, get the next one, get the next one. Obviously, be smart about it. I have a good sized team, which I love because we have a strengths in different areas. But it's really like, okay, where's our focus across the broader? Our team is Overland Collective, so it's like, hey, we investments. Who's going to make this decision? Strategy, also back end, the tech and AI and all these things. How do we incorporate that in the business? How do we bring everything together? That's the stuff I'll focus on. Whereas like Vance, we have someone boots on the ground who has tons of years of leadership and experience in building businesses, operations, very, very strong in that area and understands ground up development. Monica, same thing, but she's more of that CEO, like that, that she's got very similar to you, just like bringing energy, bringing that, and she'll, as capital raising and everything, her brand and everything she's building. And then with Trisha, focus more on a lot of the staffing and finances and a lot of the transactional work that we're going through on each of these deals. So we kind of complement each other, and we're thinking through that whole lens of like, let's build it at the company level. And then on a per park basis, we'll figure out like where we need to fill in the gaps. But ultimately, we should be in 3-4 months. Ideally, this will tweak, but 3 to 4 months, depending on the park. And we can put the people in place to step out and run it. Still got to be able to run it, but we will be in a position not where we need to be boots on the ground after 3 to 4 months. We need to have people in place that can run it without us. So a lot of things I'm sure you have experienced now with as you grow, but that was very important to us to look at it from the end and move forward and say, how do we build like so that we can scale?
I love what you just said because it actually pointed out one of my early acquisitions that I made a big mistake. And it was a business that I bought, and I was like, oh, just this business alone, it's going to make me a millionaire in the next 2 years. Basically, it was a company that net like $500,000. And I was like, awesome. Let me focus on this and run it so well. And with that mindset, the moment I closed on the business, I went deep into the business to figure out, okay, who are the peoples, what are the job, what are the orders, what like every nitty-gritty details. That become my focus, and that become my everything. Now, when I do that, I basically are ignoring all the other opportunities out there, right? It's just like there's a movie. Was it called like Matrix or something? And that's when there's a lady in a red dress, and that is
Oh yeah, the
everything you
Matrix.
see, right?
Hmm.
And so it basically tell you that if you are not careful on what you pay attention to, you could be missing the whole pictures. So that was a early mistake I made, and then I promised myself to never make that same mistake. So in one of the later acquisition, there's a business just show up, and we ended up acquire that, but there it was not running too well to the point that the staff in that business was calling me one day and say, Benjamin, this is your business. This is not my business. You have to show up. You have to come down here. You have to come here and help. And I was not hesitating and telling him that if this business require me to be there to be successful, then I'm going to let it close down.
Hmm.
That means that is not a business to me. That is a job to me. And this job will not provide more than what I could create out there. So this is an awesome mindset. And guys, if you're listening in, Bobby just kind of throw a sentence out there, but it's gold. So if you have not, take a note. This is super important. Like, do not make the same mistake, because this mistake can take you can cost you years of times, right? When you're in the nitty gritty, details on a business, it could take you years for you to even get out. Now, the second part that Bobby just talked about, a team is super important. Let's talk about that, Bobby. How did you initially, think about putting the team together? Like, what was that look like? Have you always envisioned that it's going to be a big team, or what?
No, I didn't at first. Um, I didn't envision that. I I think over time I started to work with folks that like I really wanted to work with and got to kind of team up with all the way from the No One Left Behind challenge in November in 2024. And I got to meet a bunch of people. Basically, we're sending out, for those that don't know, like you're sending out a bunch of leads to on market properties. You're sending out offers to agents and a team of people that are fresh, new into real estate or new into the creative community are kind of picking up and setting appointments for a closer. In this case, it was Pace. So basically, I started to I connected with a bunch of people who are still very close with pretty much all of them. A lot of great friends that pulled from there, but we started working together and like you're dating, right? It's like you're working on single family homes, maybe some wholesaling, maybe doing a little bit of this, and like it morphed from there. And we started to fall into place. So it was very organic in how it came together. And then it was also like, hey, if we are going to scale, and we're all, like we're not going to just focus on one asset. Like we have a sense of urgency across us, across our team, and we gel well together. Of like, let's go out and acquire these things. So acquire these parks, and so we started to feel, and we fit naturally into different areas, and so it kind of clicked. And to me, I'm like, I don't want this one other teammate. Like it's hard, man. It would be, especially we have little kids.
Yeah.
Like that is so much. That's the most important thing. And then we're husbands. That's also extremely important. And so like all those things are like non-negotiables. And then your time shrinks down. And then you're like, well, in order for us to get to where we want to get to and not have it take forever, we have to be able to scale. So let's get the team in place that we can do that to scale. I love like going to battle and shoulder to shoulder with people that just are on the same wavelength, and you gel and it just, yeah, it formed organically. I was not looking out to join a big team. I did know I want to partner with people that could help with the things that I was not strong in, and it just formed from there.
Awesome. If you were to restart and build a team again, is there anything that you would do differently?
Um, that's a good question. No, I I have learned from uh other scenarios and other partnerships, and so I think the ones that I'm in now, on the wholesale side and on the acquisition side, um, I wouldn't. I think all the things, the partnerships leading up to these, are things that I've already done. I think the most important thing is setting expectations up front, like being very clear about that, of like what that looks like. If, when you go and acquire something, what does that look like? What's the operating agreement? Those things can get tweaked, but at least have a very good understanding up front. Um, I've gone through it recently too. And so where it's like, if you're not aligned on things as like percentage of ownership or roles and responsibilities or things like that, like it is very difficult to come back from that when now you have a deal in front of you and you realize you did never aligned. So that was the most important thing. That is not a problem with my partnerships right now. We did do those conversations. We had tough conversations, like hours and hours of conversations to build out a good operating agreement that protects everybody. Because the biggest thing too is you never want to get to that point where it's like you feel like you're carrying the load, and the other and because you didn't set proper expectations and have those tough discussions up front, it becomes much more difficult now to have it later. So I think that was probably the biggest things that I've learned that I've adopted into like the partnerships that were working very well today.
Bobby, I have a crazy idea. So let me run by you.
Mm-hmm.
You just talked about that meetings. Do you guys have recording?
Yeah. They're all recorded.
Is there a way that we can have AI look at it and basically have AI strip off the name and have AI summarize what are the things that you guys talk about to be so-called hard conversation to talk about, but clarity require, and let's have AI compile a list that you guys talk about before walk into a acquisition partnership like RV park, mobile home parks, and let's compile that and just give it out to people for free. Would you be open to do that?
Yeah, I love that. I can do that. That's
Awesome.
a great idea.
Yeah, because when we talk about having that clarity, a lot of people who are listening, they may be like, yes, I know it needs to be clear, but if I'm brand new, I don't know what I need to talk about. I don't know what to think about, right? If we have that step by step in both like item by item, that would be a big value. And we can even give it to the community as well.
I love that. Okay, I'll do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, great idea.
Bobby, I know the time is up, but I always enjoy talking to you. I learned so much from you. I appreciate you being a great friend and the brothers that I can, bounce idea with. So thank you so much, and your time showing up today.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Cool. Bobby, how can people find you?
Instagram at Bobby Souza.
Perfect. Cool. Bobby, appreciate you again. Guys, if you're listening in, thank you so much for your attention, and we will see you in the next episode.